News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
I'm here with YouTube sensation Bo Burnham, who's since become more than that, a veritable artist.
Oh, yes.
And one of the most brilliant comedic voices of our generation. Bo, very nice to meet you.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm excited to not live up to any of that.
That's not true. So can we start with at the beginning, like the
Sure.
the viral beginning? What was you weren't even intending to reach like a mass audience, right? You just posted it for fun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, it was 2006, so in 2006, I don't think people even, like, knew of the paradigm of, like, YouTube being a thing. I just remember, like, hearing the word YouTube and it being something that I could show my brother videos that I did. So, yeah, I didn't even know of the concept, really.
This was before even Bieber.
No, I think this was right around Bieber.
Okay.
I think Bieber's just, like, hanging around in my group, and he...
You're the
but
class
he shut
of
up
Bieber.
real quick. Yeah, I'm sort of I'm a slow burn Bieber, I think.
And so since then, what was your reaction to that when all of a sudden you started getting millions of hits on, which video was it? It was My Whole Family?
Yeah, it was something like that. It was strange. I mean, like, truthfully, it's pretty abstract at first because it's just like numbers on the screen. My day-to-day life isn't changing. I was still going to high school. It still all felt the same. I just had, like, thousands of faceless comments, most of them negative, and a lot of views. There were.
Did you really? Is that really how it started with negative reaction?
Well, no,
and
not negative reaction. The thing is, I think that's the internet in a nutshell. So,
Yeah.
like, half of the stuff you get is going to be pretty negative. That's why I think it's funny when people say, like, oh, like, you didn't start in the clubs, you didn't, like, get tough skin by being through the clubs. It's like read like 5,000 internet comments. And
I
then
had
see how tough
thousands
your
of
skin.
hecklers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, it's pretty, and people are even more fearless when they can hide
So
behind
I
a
imagine
screen.
at this point you don't take that to heart, but did you at one point? Were you like affected by some terrible things? I'm sure people would say.
I was probably a little affected, but they were pretty funny too. That's the thing. Like, a lot of them were like actually did make me laugh because they were like pretty creative.
What were some of the best ones? What were some of the best Bo Burnham?
The best one in my
insults?
mind I can't say because it has very, very explicit language, but it's pretty good.
Is there a PG version of that? No, it's not possible.
It would be go gadget, horrible slang for a homosexual person.
That's terrible.
Yeah, pretty bad.
I like that they're inspired by Lupe Fiasco though to create negative. It's lovely.
I know, it's like it was like a little rhymey, and that I had to give him credit for it. It's better than the stuff I'd heard in high school for sure.
Fair enough. And so the show, which
Yes.
is since I know hasn't gone, I guess, the way you would have liked at the end.
Which the MTV?
Zach
Oh, the
Stone.
MTV
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Yes, yeah, it got canceled. Yeah.
But so you're dealing with the whole issue of fame, and you've been really thinking about that.
Yeah.
When you look back, was there the whole culture of saying fame is how we validate ourselves is obviously terrible. But are there any good sides to it that you've encountered?
No, well, I think, like, at least for the show, Zach Stone, I think, like, there's nothing wrong about dreams and pursuing things. And I think on the surface, wanting the approval of other people is nice. Like, I think it means you value other people's opinions. It's just when it becomes gluttonous, when it becomes self-centered. I think expressing things to people on a large scale, I think sharing experiences and material is fun, but when it becomes all ego and stuff, that's a little weird.
I guess is it the question of first you have to want to do something, and if fame can sometimes be a nice bonus and sometimes not.
For sure. You want your famous people or whatever to have passion for what they do and for fame to be a byproduct. And it seems nowadays most famous people have a passion for fame, which seems a little backwards.
And
Like people want attention, and they get attention for wanting attention, which just seems crazy.
Is that because of the internet somehow? Like, where do you think that's come from?
I think it's because the characters of people in their everyday life are more exciting than the characters maybe that we could write. So, like, Kim Kardashian as a character is amazing. Like, if someone wrote that character, if an actress is playing Kim Kardashian, she'd be one of the greatest actresses ever. It'd be amazing. It'd be such a subtle and psychotic and dynamic performance. So I think reality TV and all that, it's sort of just revealing how crazy and engaging but how crazy and engaging real people can be as characters.
Right.
They can be hateable, they can be villains, they can be,
So there's something more like that we could aspire to just by being normal and then being blown up without people noticing. Is that kind of it?
I don't think you should aspire to it. I think it's probably terrible. I
Well,
think it's
yeah,
like a
right,
bit of a
right.
minstrel show, in a lot of ways. But I don't know. I just think, like, when people say, "Oh, only dumb people watch reality shows," it's like not necessarily true. Sometimes smart people watch reality shows because they think it's dumb. Like, a lot of these shows are created for you to feel better than them.
Yeah.
They're
Honey Boo
creative.
Boo is a fantastic show.
But that's the thing.
Terrible.
That show, you're watching that show, and they know to make fun. They're knowing our audience is supposed to watch this thinking, oh, isn't this fun trash that we're seeing?
You had the opportunity, you applied to college, and then didn't go that route. Is that something that you think about now, or that you think, maybe down the road you're going to regret at some point?
No, I don't think so. I mean, because the opportunity for college is always there for me,
right.
and or academically, anything that I would want from it, like to take some classes, learn some things, is always there. Like, at the time when I was on the road and all my friends were having fun, and like I was in a Ramada Inn in South Dakota or whatever, I was totally regretting my decision in a lot of ways. But no, now I'm fine. Now that
they're all out of college
and unemployed.
Yeah, nice.
No, but no, I think it's good. I think that's a system that might, at least in America, is probably going to be the next bubble to go. Like this idea that you have to shove everyone into college and that no one can take a year off to think what they're doing, and that you should spend 2 years figuring out your major for $80,000. It's like, it's
because there's so much pressure there, and it just becomes almost a factory, which I don't think we have as much here.
Yeah, in America, it's truly like the students are suffering coming out of college with hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and the colleges are booming with new. Because I've performed at hundreds of them,
sure.
and they all have new libraries and new gyms. The universities themselves are thriving on the debts of their students, so it's pretty evil.
So that's so sad. So when you're performing at these amazing theaters and colleges, and you realize that where all the money's going.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm taking it from children. Yeah,
exactly.
Taking it from families.
But
Future
on a more
families.
serious note, I mean, when a lot of your songs are pretty. You like to use some pretty shocking, some controversial ideas, but I think the more brave thing you did is your most recent song, "Nerds," where you.
Oh yeah, it's all right. Yeah,
it's an all right song. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I think I was more probably edgy back in the when I was 16 or 17 or 18.
Right.
I felt like that was like a cool thing to do. Like shock, and it's an easy way to get people's attention. Right. But yeah, because
"Nerds" is a great song, but it's not necessarily the funniest song. You don't have punchlines throughout.
Yeah,
it's a funny song, but you're really thinking about some serious issues. Was that a hard transition to decide to make, or what made you do that?
Yeah, it's more probably a harder transition to decide to make than to make,
Right.
But people have been very supportive. I had this one song in my last special called "Art Is Dead" that's sort of just opened the door just enough for me to slip some serious stuff in. I sort of tried it out, and people seemed to dig it. And I was like, oh, okay, so now I feel like I have the freedom to not always be funny at the end of every couplet of every song, So yeah, it's I don't know. I don't have, my interests aren't completely to be the funniest person all the time. And since I came from theater and that was always my interest, I just like to sort of explore other parts of performance or anything. But that was sort of just the Nerds thing was just sort of something I did in my free time as not a live. It was never something that was going to be part of my show. It was just something that I could put out for free.
Are you doing it live on the show this week?
No, I don't think so.
So, but about that song, have you been getting reaction? Because I think it really is it's along the lines of one of these "It Gets Better" songs, but it actually seems more realistic. What kind of feedback have you been getting from?
Yeah, it's good. I just saw a lot of young fans, and I thought, well, let me at least say my little bit of it. But yeah, I think a lot of problem with the anti-bullying or it's that "It Gets Better" thing, and it's or it's a thing I know Glee did a song where it was you're going to be pumping gas in my car and I'm going to be a superstar. That was the whole song.
Yeah,
I was oh, so we're fighting bullying with more bullying. Oh, you're a bully now, but you're going to be poor one day, poor person. It's what the So I just actually want to make a song that expressed the anger that kids, and I think it's a little
cathartic.
Angrier than that. Yeah, and I don't think necessarily even the person singing that song, the character, whoever doing it, is right necessarily, but it's honest, I think.
Because even if it doesn't get better, at least you have someone who can relate to you, which I could think back, and I'm sure you could think back. It's been an amazing thing.
And I do think it gets better. I do think it gets better. I just don't think the way it gets better is by, oh, don't worry, you're going to be stepping on these people eventually. Because
just terrible.
The people that are tormenting you, they have their own issues that they're bringing to the
table. And they deserve to work through that someday, too.
Yeah. It's so you're skinny and shy, and he's big and angry. What's both sides are not very pleasant to be.
And what was your experience in high school? Is that how much of that song is true?
A little bit. I don't want to totally victimize myself when I'm I was I was in an all boys Catholic high school, which is actually socially limits the playing field very strangely, because it's there's no girls to impress. So I feel bullying, I feel homophobia and all that stuff sort of comes from young guys wanting to be I'm not gay, girls. So when girls are gone from it, there's like sort of no one to impress, and they don't really care anymore. But I mean, it was a theater kid, so it just
So you still got some of the brunt of it.
Yeah, there's a little bit of it, but I'm all right.
Because that's a pretty consistent theme that runs throughout the homophobia or the gay slurs thrown at you, right? Like in most of your work, you kind of make fun of that.
Yeah, I just think it's funny. I just think it's like a funny thing that people are so defensive about.
But that is something that happened to you, or not? Or not?
Well,
so
yeah,
much?
no. I just think it's funny. Like people will ask if I'm gay, and like it's this big loaded question, and I feel like I don't ever want to answer that because even dignifying the answer feels like it's
putting someone else down.
I'm saying
or,
like
yeah.
it's an insult. Like I don't care what you think. So I try to be a little ambiguous or something on stage, and try to be a little feminine on stage. I think just comedy in general is super masculine,
right?
And that's a little annoying.
And what do you think of? Things are exciting here.
It's a party.
It's a
party.
It's a pretty fast-paced place. What do you think of? I'm watching some of your new stuff and your stand-up on Conan and some of the clips I've seen from the new show.
Cool.
You use prop comedy, which is kind of like the worst thing you could say to a comedian. Like when I say that, people might be thinking Carrot Top, which is not what it is at all. Yeah. But like, were you worried about? Because it's a stigma. It's like one of the worst things you can do.
Yeah,
right?
well, that's the thing. I saw all these things that people had put a stigma on, like prop comedy or music. Even has it. It's sort of stopped with Play the Concords and stuff.
And Tim Minchin, I know.
There's been big people that have sort of like got the stigma off that. But yeah, I think anything. Comedy is sort of defined as this like raw, stripped down art form, which I think it is in some cases and is wonderful. But yeah, I want a fun, weird show where there are things and sounds, and I think there's bad prop comedy jokes, just like there are bad, stripped down, cool, satirical, social commentary jokes. It's bad, but and the reverse, there are great prop comedy jokes. There's John Doerr, one of Canadian's best, has like one of my favorite jokes ever, where he's on stage drinking a bottle of beer, and he's like, "I hate prop comics. It makes me so angry," and he smashes the bottle on his head. You don't know it's a breakaway bottle the whole time, and he smashes it. And it's like amazing. It's an amazing bit. So yeah, I just want to try to surprise people. And
was it the fact that there was such a stigma against it that made you be like, okay, I got to jump into this?
It was more like, what do I like to do? I get pretty bored on stage pretty easily.
And for you, comedy is theater.
Yeah, it's more theatrical. So yeah, theater has props and it has voiceovers and it has, So it's more just about expanding the show into something bigger, and props did that. I don't have terribly many props. I can't think of many props. I have confetti and I use my stool sometimes. But
confetti is considered prop comedy.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if I'm not going to I don't lug a suitcase out on stage and then start my act.
You're not going to like be throwing knives up and
no, that's next. That's next
year. Time. By the way, an aside about John Doerr, the first time I encountered him, I don't know if you know how he started here. Like the first mainstream Canadian success of his.
The John Doerr Show?
No, before the John Doerr Show, which is also a great show.
That's amazing.
He started off as the special correspondent on Canadian Idol.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious. He was like the only part of goodness in that show.
Oh, that's great.
But
he's so funny. He's one of the funniest.
But so for the show, I'm kind of wondering, first of all, what's the difference? And I mean, this might be such an old question because we've done
completely mirrored body language there.
Have we?
Something.
That's good. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay. What does that mean?
Mirrored body language?
Yeah, what do you think?
I don't know. It depends who started, and people watching the video could say, but it says like, it's actually like, it's either a power or a flirtatious thing.
Okay.
And it's about whoever started it is the one flirting. So you will have to check the tapes.
So if I copied you first, I was flirting with you.
Or a power move, or like
I'm trying to show you who's boss.
Yeah. Or it's like, they say like in an interview, or if like you're like pitching something, you should. So if you did as an interviewer, that's great.
So the other question I have for the live show, what's the biggest difference between performing online and live, and what should people look forward to?
That's everything. I mean, this is my second hour I've done since I felt like I left
YouTube
or like stopped performing it primarily on YouTube, and everything. I feel like hopefully it feels like everything's different in a way. I don't know. I feel like so different because that's basically, that question is almost the same question to me as like, what's the difference between you as a 22-year-old and you as a 18-year-old? You know what I mean? So it's
but now you
that same in comedy, even my comedy, it feels like the same thing. I mean, like, what's the difference between your act now and your act when you were?
It's just how you evolved.
Like, it sort of feels like I feel like my act is so personal that it just sort of feels like myself in a way. And sometimes I have a hard time taking myself away from myself to like judge and compare myself.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's the audience's job to see what they think of it.
So the evolution of Bo Burnham, Friday night, Saturday night at L'Astral.
Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, Friday night.
I'm glad we straightened that out.
It's all good.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me. Sweet.
Awesome.